Shiloh, or known in American English as Shiloh. You could stick to Shiloh if you like. I'm going to go with the original Hebrew, which is Shiloh. Or maybe we'll compromise on Shiloh. And as you can see here on the map, it's a very central location in biblical Israel, also in modern day Israel. Of course, not everybody agrees with we are in Israel right now. I don't know exactly what your political affiliation are, but I am what you call an Israeli settler of the West Bank. So if you hear that on the news, now you know how they look. Okay. Let's talk about a little bit biblical and historical and archaeological issues that we're going to see here today. So let's give a little bit of a background. So as you can see, a central location is a very good place if you want to build a capital city. Okay, you want everybody to be able to get there, especially when your capital city is the place of worship and religion, and not only a political capital. So you're going to definitely want to have a central location. Now, what does that have to do with Shiloh? Well, as you know, I'm sure you know if you read Joshua and Judges and Samuel, that this was the place of the tabernacle for a very long time before there was a temple in Jerusalem, before King Solomon built the temple in Jerusalem.
So 400 plus years?
Yeah, we're going to say exactly the numbers in a second.
Okay,
We'll see,
sorry.
We'll test you if you really know. So let's start with the thing that it does say in the Bible is that the temple was built 480 years after Exodus. Okay, this is in 1 Kings chapter 8, I believe. 480 years basically was tabernacle time, the temporary temple. Except for the first year, actually, when the Israelites exited Egypt, they didn't have yet the tabernacle. It took a year till they built it, till the commandments of building it. So 479 years basically was the tabernacle time, which is, by the way, longer than both temples. Okay, temple in Jerusalem, first temple, the Talmud says it was 410 years. The second temple, researchers say was 586 years. Historians. Talmud says it was only 420 years. Maybe we'll get into that argument later on. It's an interesting argument. But it was, if you go by the Talmudic tradition, the tabernacle time was longer than the temples. Here in Shiloh, how long did the tabernacle stand? So the Bible doesn't say clearly. It just says that the tabernacle was here in Joshua chapter 18, verse 1. It says it twice or three times in Judges. And it says it in 1 Samuel chapters 1 to 4. So we know there's a long time going on here. There's a lot of biblical stories that happened during this time and over a long period of time. Now the Jewish tradition in the Talmud says exactly how long the tabernacle was and every stop that it had. So let's start with the first stop, which is really actually many more stops because it was in the desert, in the wilderness, in Sinai, all the way out there. There were many stops there. That was 39 years. 39 years, you could say 40 years. Okay, then the Israelites entered the promised land. This is where you start reading in Joshua. So the first years when they were, right in the beginning here, they were in the middle of conquering the land from the Canaanites and all the evil nations that were here before. In those years, the tabernacle was in a place called Gilgal. Gilgal is next to Jericho, mentioned many times in the Bible. This was just a brief, short stop during those wars of conquering the land. The Bible doesn't say how long that took, but the Talmudic tradition. You familiar with the Talmud?
Is it the same as is it different from the Torah?
No.
Oh.
It doesn't say. When I say the Bible, I'm referring to the Torah and the prophets.
Okay.
And it doesn't say all these numbers, but the Talmudic tradition, being the Jewish interpretation of the Bible.
Okay.
Jewish history.
Not only history, it's also interpreting the commandments of the Torah, etc. So it says the Gilgal was 14 years, then came Shiloh for 369 years. That's a long time. That's not a short time. And after Shiloh, there were two places, Nob and Gibon. These two stops were problematic. What was the problem? Something was missing in the tabernacle. Very good. Right. So in the end of the time of Shiloh, there was a war with the Philistines who took the Ark of the Covenant. Ultimately, they gave it back to the Israelites, but it never went back to the tabernacle. Only Solomon, when he built the temple, reunited the Ark with the rest of the tabernacle in the new temple that he built. So these were gap years between the time of tabernacle and the time of temple in Nob and Gibon, but it does say in Samuel and in Chronicles that these were the places of the tabernacle. The Talmud says this was 57 years to the stop. Basically, Shiloh was the longest, and you could say the only real place of the tabernacle. The rest of them were just very temporary. Shiloh was more permanent. So therefore, we really say Shiloh was the first capital of Israel. Now that's if you just read it very, very basically. But if you sort of read between the lines, you understand that in those days there was no capital. Because even though there was a tabernacle, not everybody was so happy to come here. So at the time, not all the Israelites were doing the correct thing. Not everybody was doing the right thing. Anyway, there was a place. Okay. Now the Bible does refer to Shiloh in other places in the Bible, not in the story part, but in Psalms and in Jeremiah. Refers to this place as the first place that God chose to dwell in. Okay. Jerusalem is the ultimate place, but Shiloh was the first place. So it really was a very important place. And now that we're here and we know all this, let's go on a little tour and we're going to learn a little bit more about what they found here, what they did not yet find here, and all kinds of high-tech presentations that we're going to see here. Now we don't have much time because Ellie told me you need to get to the hotel and you want to have dinner and etc. And I really understand that. So let's start running.
Run.
Now we